So it is back to school season, and this time of year, lunches get all the hype. But today I'm here to share with you the real star of the school day, which is breakfast. Breakfasts are so important and they should not get overlooked. So I'm here today to share with you a quick, fast, easy, and actually really delicious breakfast option you could share with your kids. Hi, if you're new around here, I'm Megan, and I'm a Mennonite living in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. I was a school teacher for 6 years, something I don't really talk about too much on my channel, but for 18 years, back to school season really actually meant something to me. So whether you have kids in school or not, I think you're gonna really like this breakfast idea. And I was just gonna do a quick, snappy, how-to recipe video, but you know me, I'm always feeling chatty, so I decided instead I'm going to talk to you guys while I make this recipe and just talk to you guys about my experience with teaching school. Some of you were wondering how in the world I only went through 12th grade yet still was a school teacher, and I'd like to explain all that in this video. But first, let me get my bread going. So basically what I'm making today is make-ahead breakfast sandwiches that go in the freezer. Nothing earth-shattering, but I want to just show you how they are actually really easy to make. And it does take some steps, but it actually is pretty easy, and once they're in the freezer, you're so happy to have them. So I just pretty much have English muffins here and some croissant sandwiches. I froze them and they put them out of the freezer. Got them at Costco when I went there with my mom-in-law the other week. These are really good. I've had them before. Really big though. I have a bunch of eggs. I'm going to use 2 eggs per sandwich. And I have this really amazing egg spice that I threw together. I will put the recipe for that down below. And I have some extra sharp cheddar slices and some regular sharp cheddar slices. I don't know, I just decided why not buy both and see if I can actually tell a difference. And then I have sausage patties, which they came a little bit smaller, and I smashed them down with my hamburger press to make them a little bit bigger so they fit well inside the English muffins. And I have some bacon. So all in all, I should have enough stuff to make about 18 sandwiches. So I have 18 eggs here and 18 eggs there, and that'll be enough for all the sandwiches, hopefully. So while I crack eggs, I'm going to get my toast, or bread in this case, going. These are English muffins. And if you're a sourdough person, feel free to make your own English muffins. I have not gotten into that too much yet, but let me grab a knife. But maybe someday when life slows down a little bit, I'll be able to do that. Haha. I might be waiting for a while for life to slow down. So let's get those going a while. Anyway, if you are new around here, my name is Megan, and I've been on YouTube for about a year. And I have an almost 2-year-old daughter and a 4-month-old son. Before that though, I taught school. I was a 2nd grade teacher for 5 years, and then an art and gym teacher for middle schooler, high schooler, and elementary school students. Sounds kind of confusing, but it's not that important really. Just know that I was teaching full-time for that many years. And I guess since being a Mennonite is a little bit foreign to some of you, we have a cool option where we can send our kids to Mennonite schools if we choose to. And basically it's like often a K through 12 school, or sometimes just a K through 8, or even just a 1st through 8th grade type of school. And it's often run by non-college educated teachers. There might be a few college educated teachers scattered through the mix. Actually, where I went to school, I had several Mennonite teachers that went to college, but the school I taught at, that was not as common. I personally, when I taught 2nd grade, did not feel inadequate at all to teach them, science and math and history and all that stuff on a 2nd grade level. I don't know how it would be if I was teaching those kind of classes, to older students, but I know that homeschool moms do it for their kids all the time, so I know it's possible. But yeah, I thought Jeanine from NJ Family on YouTube here explained it really well when she was talking about it in one of her recent videos. I will link that down below if you'd like to know more about the Mennonites and the typical education system that we have. Some Mennonites do choose to send their kids to public school or homeschooling them. It's not really like a rule that you have to go to your church school or anything like that, and the school I went to was not affiliated with any one church. But yeah, it's a really nice option to have, and I really hope that I can be able to afford to send my children to a private Mennonite school. And another misconception is that you have to be a Mennonite to go to a Mennonite school, and that's not always the case either. There are some, guidelines or rules that they expect families to abide by. The high school I went to, you weren't supposed to have TV in your home, things like that. But yeah, you have to look into that if there is a Mennonite school in your area. Maybe it would be an option. I don't know. I can't speak for everywhere else, but in Lancaster County, Mennonites are all over the place, and so there's actually a lot of options if you want to send your kids to a Mennonite school. So for over 18 years, back to school season really meant a lot to me, and I know this is my first year where I'm not doing anything. I'm not teaching at a homeschool co-op. I'm not teaching just part-time or full-time or anything, and I know I'm gonna miss it. But I kind of like to think of my channel as, I mean, I'm not teaching, but in a way I kind of am. Yeah, if you are new here, you can go ahead and click through all my videos and just kind of see who I am and what I'm about. Okay, instead of putting these croissants in the toaster, I'm just gonna lay them on top of the toaster while the English muffins are toasting, so they can kind of get a little bit toasty on the inside. But I'm not gonna try to put them in the toaster because they're really, really flaky. By the way, this isn't really a recipe, it's just how I do it. I've been doing it like this for a long time. I never realized you could make breakfast sandwiches yourself, but think about it, you can buy them in the freezer case at Walmart, so why couldn't you make them yourself? And my husband grew up having them in the freezer as well. So he sometimes complains about the eggs and their texture. Excuse the loud noise there. But you could kind of use common sense to make these, but I will try to list everything that I do down below so you know what is going on. And if you would like to try them for yourself, then that way if they turn out wrong, you can just blame me and not yourself. I have my eggs cracked in here, and I'm finishing up toasting my bread. I think that was the last English muffin. I just have to finish these off. This is working great, by the way. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and give a generous coating of my egg seasoning mix, which is paprika, seasoned salt, celery salt, salt and pepper. There might be one more thing. I will list that down below, like I said. Give it a good coating. I'm just actually covering the whole surface of the eggs. I like a lot of seasoning. When I'm scrambling eggs, I will usually add water or milk just to make them fluffier, but I don't really need these to be fluffy because I want them just to be flat, like, you know, egg patties inside the sandwiches. So I'm just going to whisk them right the way they are, and I'm not going to try to beat tons of air into them either because they don't really need to be fluffy. Just making sure I break all the egg yolks up. You could fry eggs individually, but my husband hates like the slimy texture of egg whites, and I'm not really a fan of it either. So yeah, we're gonna scramble these things up and bake them in the oven on a pan. Oh my goodness, this is smoking. All that butter. There we go, we'll just call it good. There we go. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it smells kind of like burnt butter or something, but the sandwiches look fine. So I don't know if it's really fair to talk about this, being like I've never been a mom of a school student before. My oldest is not even 2 yet, so it's probably not even fair to talk about this stuff. But being a school teacher, you see some awesome moms and you see some not so awesome moms. If you want to make your children's teachers' lives a little easier, here's a few things that you can do. And the first one to me sounds really easy, but I'm thinking once I am a mom of school students, it's not going to be as easy, is to get your kids to bed on time. This was usually really easy. I noticed the ones that were oldest in their family, they got plenty of sleep. You know, they were the oldest, they had baby brothers and sisters that needed to get to bed and stuff. But when it came down to like maybe the youngest in the family, or when they had lots of big brothers and sisters, even teenage brothers and sisters, and they were only in 2nd grade, I would notice that they would be very, very tired on Mondays because they were getting to bed late because that's when the rest of their family did. So just be conscious about how your kids perform. Like seriously, if they're tired, your teacher will definitely be able to see it, and their brains just function a little slower too. Also, another thing which goes along with this video very well is give them some breakfast and not just cereal, because they'll be hungry right away again. The school I taught at gave the elementary students a little break, like mid-morning, where they would have a snack. But it really wasn't that long for them to eat much, so they just pretty much wolfed something down, went to the bathroom, maybe ran around outside a little bit, got some fresh air, and they were back in the classroom again. So I think breakfast is super important, and maybe your school that you're sending your kids to don't even have the break time option where they can eat a little snack or something. So fill your kids up. I know like some of them probably get up really early to ride the bus or whatever, but if you have something quick and fast like this, or waffles in the toaster are a great option. Yeah, just a warm breakfast, something besides cereal, because cereal does not last very long for anybody really. Okay, my eggs are mixed up. Now I'm going to take my bacon off of the pan. I should have grabbed a dish before I started doing that. Silly me. We just moved into this place and I'm still learning where I keep everything and where I want to keep everything, so things are changing daily for me. So I'm gonna move all the meat off of my jelly roll pan here. I guess that's what you could call it. I have a couple of these and I use them all the time. And now I'm going to, instead of greasing my pan, I already have bacon grease on here because I made my bacon in the oven. Yes, you can do that. I'll put all the instructions down below. But I put my bacon in the oven, and so there's still bacon grease on here, and I'm just gonna leave it on there, and that'll be enough grease for my eggs. Plus it'll make them taste extra good. Okay, so I'm gonna put them in the oven at 350 degrees until just so the eggs are set. I do not want them to get overdone at all, so maybe just a little underdone is better than, you know, the other way. And this is always like very tedious, this part. No sudden moves. And I'm gonna set my timer for 10 minutes and then I'll check them. Here are the eggs. It took us about exactly 15 minutes for 18 eggs in this pan. And don't freak out if your eggs look like hilly. Actually, these eggs here were mounded up this big. And as soon as I pulled them out of the oven and the air hit it, they're going down right like this. So it's completely fine. It's not gonna really affect the flavor or anything. You can see all the seasoning on top, salt and pepper, all that, so it's already in there, ready to go. You don't have to add anything later when you're eating your sandwich. By the way, as a school teacher, I got lots of these as gifts from my students. They're these little hand-woven hot pads. They're honestly the best. I have some other ones that look much nicer, but they just don't work as good. So if you have a teacher who's also a homemaker and your child would love to make something for their beloved teacher, this would be a great option. So I'm gonna cut these eggs, and I'm not gonna cut them just all into squares because I have the croissants, which are longer, and then I have the round English muffins. So I'm gonna cut squares for the English muffins and then more of a rectangle for the croissants. Okay, then I have my wax paper here. To put the egg and then the meat and then the cheese kind of oozes down over everything since the eggs are still warm, and it kind of just holds everything together. I found that it actually works best to wrap your croissants kind of like crosswise. Otherwise it's just really hard to keep the wax paper, you know, wrapped around it and staying that way. Okay, here is the leftovers. I'll deal with that later. And then here are the sandwiches. I just wrapped them up and I'm gonna put them in gallon bags to freeze them. That way, yeah, they don't have any funky flavors when they're in the freezer. So if your mornings start going a lot better because you have a hearty, healthy meal ready to go in the freezer, I wanna know about it. And these sandwiches are not only great for kids, but for busy teachers as well, and also moms, dads. I know it saves us a lot of money in a year. My husband is a huge Wawa fan and also a construction worker, so he works really hard every day. And so he likes to have an egg sandwich before he runs out the door. And this saves him from stopping at Wawa. If you know, you know, guys. And if you'd like to see more, right here is another video that I think you would enjoy. Subscribe for more mom-related, homemaking, and just Mennonite life content. And I will see you all in my next video.